So we're gearing up for Passover right now, late March, as long as the full moon is past springtime, what in Hebrew is called the Tekufah, or we call the spring equinox. We observe Passover. You can teach your children how to keep the Passover, like you can sit them down and you can talk to them about it, and you can read them Exodus chapter 12, which is the initial Passover. On top of that, you can go through the actual rituals of Passover. Don't let the word rituals scare you. It's just a fancy word that basically means the statutes or the ordinances surrounding how to observe or keep a particular commandment. So the way that we do the Passover is basically Exodus chapter 12. I tell people just go read Exodus chapter 12. We do put up an actual lamb on the 10th day of Aviv, or Abib. And when the 14th day of Abib gets here, we slaughter that lamb between the evenings and the afternoon. What we would call between 2 and 3 p.m. today, we slaughter the Passover lamb. And then that night, which begins the 15th day of Abib, remember Yahweh brought the Israelites out by night, and that kicked off with the Pesach meal. We eat the Passover lamb with unleavened bread and bitter herbs, and we eat it with our shoes on our feet, our staff in our hand. I actually have a literal staff. I wear literal shoes, and our belt around our waist, or technically our loins girded, dressed for travel is what the Hebrew means. After the middle of the night, which this time of the year would be around what we call 2 a.m., the Israelites were thrust out of the land of Egypt because the Egyptians thought, all right, the plagues have escalated to the point that our firstborns are dying now. That's how we keep the Passover. We stay up all night. At the end, I think it's in verses 42 through 43 in Exodus chapter 12, it talks about it's a night watch or a night vigil. We used to have a night watch or vigil on December 31st back when I was growing up in the Christian church. But that's actually in honor to a pagan deity. But this is in honor to Almighty Yahweh. It's a night vigil. Sometimes it's difficult, but if you have enough people and you're singing songs and you're having a good time, you can stay up all night. Well, then after the night, early morning, which means after midnight, so after 2 a.m., we exit the premises, exit the house where we keep the Passover, and we burn the remains of the lamb. People tell me, well, you shouldn't slaughter a lamb, or you can't keep it outside of Jerusalem. But those are regulations for when Israel is at rest from her enemies, settled in the land under a theocracy or theonomic rule. When we're outside of the land of Israel in the diaspora, the dispersion, we observe to the best of our ability. And we know that they did the Passover lamb outside the land of Israel in Exodus 12, Numbers 9, and Joshua chapter 5. There's a lot more technicalities and particularities in how we observe the Passover, but that's it in a nutshell. We basically do what Yahweh has commanded to do.